Welcome to a nostalgic journey down a memory lane on the Rushmore Show. This week, we're unveiling the top 4 things that tug at our heartstrings and take us straight back to the golden days of our childhood.
Get ready to relive the magic, the joy, and the innocence as we celebrate the cherished memories that shaped who we are.
From classic toys to unforgettable TV shows, our list is a heartfelt tribute to the things that bring back our sweetest smiles.
Don't forget to set your DVR, subscribe to our channel, and get ready to immerse yourself in the top 4 nostalgic things that warm our souls.
Embrace the nostalgia because the Rushmore Show starts right now. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. Andy, we are here. It's episode number 87, and it is time to close down another chapter of nostalgia. We are in back to school bash month, and what better way to do it than actually think about what we did as kids and give a top 4 things that remind you of your childhood. This is so far up my alley. This is the kind of thing I dream about, talk about when I think about our podcast. Andy, this is a tough one. We've got some new guests, and even talking with the guests, they were like, "This isn't as easy as I thought it would be." What was it for you, Andy? What's going on?
You know, this topic is so interesting because every other topic that we have, we're all kind of pulling from the same pool of things. And to an extent, some of this is that way too. But this is very, very specific to the individual in this one, more so probably than any other topic we've done, because it's about your childhood. You know, you and I grew up in different times, right? And our guests too are kind of in the middle of us, and, you know, just all kinds of stuff has happened. So it's very personal to you. I mean, every Rushmore is personal, but this one seems to be a little bit more directly tied to who you are as a person. So I'm excited for this one, man.
I think the closest thing to this would be the Christmas episode, our Christmas presents. I think it's kind of close. I even thought about entertaining a few of those presents, right? But So today, the idea is, and there was a little discussion. What things, if I was to hold them in my hand, or I was to ride them, eat them, watch them, whatever, immediately blast me back to, 6, 7, 8-year-old me, right? And then you sent a comment back that I absolutely loved, right? It was like, if you had a time capsule back in, 1994, what are the 5 things you're going to put in there, right? And so when you count our Benjamins, our honorable mentions, so what are those things you're putting in there? And that is kind of where we're going with this show. And man, I'm excited for our guests. I'm excited for where we're going. And it's been a great month. Football is around the corner. We have one more stop before that. So why don't we get started, man?
Let's get started with your Rushmore of things that make you think of your childhood.
Things that make you say, All right, guys, it is time for our Rushmore of things that remind you of your childhood. And what better thing to do than bring on a bunch of friends that we met at Louisiana Collectors Con. And when you walked around the Collectors Con, Andy, wasn't it just a blast from the past? Like, just nothing but nostalgia everywhere. So I don't think there would probably be some better maybe Jason with his cave would be awesome to have here. But we are welcoming a group of guys called Nerdswap. And these guys, it is a bunch of guys that do video gaming at these cons. So if you guys can welcome to the show for the very first time our friends Sean Broussard and BJ Bazeron. What's up, dudes?
What's up, fellas?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Yeah, man.
Good, man. Glad you're
Exciting. And we have another guy. He's fallen off the map. He got hit by a chair. He's a professional wrestler. Austin couldn't make it. Austin Trahan, he couldn't make the show. Sorry, guys. But Austin, hopefully you can put your comments down below and say hello to everybody. Maybe sign an autograph or something. I don't know. But guys, tell us all about Nerdswap. Tell us about how you guys got hooked together, friendship, whatever. What makes you want to be on the show? Just give us a little bit of background for you guys.
All right. So thinking about it, it's actually kind of hard to describe how we got together. We got together. It was just a random Saturday night, I want to say, at the local card shop. And we were just like, let's just bring all our games, trade, sell, see what happens. And we just showed up with totes. The card shop let us have a corner of the room, and we posted it on Facebook, and people came out. It was a very spur of the moment thing. That was actually the first time I think I met BJ. Actually, was for the first unofficial Nerdswap, you could say. It was me, him, and Davey Lusco.
Yeah.
Which Davey was on the show back in video games for Xbox games, if you're interested. And he's the guy running the Louisiana RetroCon that we're going to be a part of.
Yep.
And man, so that's exciting to shout out to you, Davey. Now, BJ, how do you feel? Is that the story that we're going with? Like, how'd you get involved?
Yeah. So, well, back when we first created the group, I had an idea in my head how I wanted to make this gaming group and do some video game conventions, because no one ever done that around here. So we kind of wanted to do something aimed towards that. And me and Davey got together, and we ended up coming up with talking to Steven at EOT over there, and he let us get on his in his card shop. And we had about, I think it was 3 vendors. It was me, Davey, and Sean at the first one. And it was like that for a little while, actually. I think a couple of times we did that, and then people started catching on, wanted to be involved in it, and so we just started adding people in, and before we knew it, it just kind of blew up.
So the Nerdswap, tell us the gist. The idea is we show up kind of like this almost impromptu swap shop, and just bring our collectibles, and we kind of see what we got. Is that how
it's basically like we wanted to do something a little different. So it's basically like going to a convention that you can bring in something, trade, you can buy, you can sell, you can do all that. So if you have some stuff you want to trade with other vendors, we made that possible,
Nice.
Love that.
I'll tell you, Andy is on a quest.
Yeah, when we were at St. Tammany Collectors Con, I went up to a couple booths, and I was like, hey, where's the person who's at this booth? Oh, they're going and swapping with somebody else too. So I know that's a big thing that they like to do. It was pretty cool. Kirk was saying I'm on a tour for some N64 stuff. That is
He's on the N64 tour.
Nice.
I'm trying to get the whole collection myself.
Yeah, well, Andy says he's not getting the whole collection, but I don't think he's stopping when he gets to 60. I mean, I think it's going to be like, I might as well go get them all. I mean, it's like Pokemon. Got to catch them all.
Right.
So, well, guys, welcome to the show. In the green room, we kind of decided we got to figure out who's going first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third. You, Sean, have won the coin flip. So what do you win? You get to go first. Sean, you are up. What's your criteria and what's your rose?
All right. So whenever I first heard the topic, it was a hard thing to kind of grasp. Childhood, nostalgia, time capsule. Just, I threw so many things at the wall. Everything was getting thrown at the wall. It was just okay. So this memory, this item, and then you just put up a big list, and you're like, wow, you just all the memories just re-hit you again. So
sounds like what we've done about 87 times now.
You just throw stuff at the wall.
right.
Love it.
So my Rosie, it's kind of a combo, Rosie. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the back of my parents' Suburban.
Very specific. I love it.
So
super specific.
So whenever I was
talking about
younger,
Ninja Turtles, you're talking about the action figures?
Yes, the action figures. I remember. So my parents always had Suburbans whenever I was growing up. That was just a very big vehicle back in the early '90s. And I remember being at the dealership playing with the Army Man Raphael, and I don't remember
Nice.
the other toy. And I remember playing in the back of the Suburban while they were buying it. So anytime
Nice.
I still have some of my toys that my daughters have now. So it's just kind of cool to every now and again see them and it just floods you again.
So I had him out yesterday, but or last time, because I talked about the Ninja Turtles being on my. I talked about them 3 times this month. We went and saw the new movie. Loved it in different ways, I think. But the action figures, fantastic. My son's got a few. These are iconic. That's one of our favorite words as well. Toy lines. So I love this pick. I love that you actually nailed down the Army Raphael.
Yeah.
I always love those little side ones that kind of had some love, like Michelangelo wearing a Hawaiian shirt, or some of these weird ones that they kind of did. But I love the Ninja Turtles toy line. Great. That's great memories already. That was a little further in the background. That's more like you guys. That one came out towards the end of my childhood. So, what do you think, Andy?
I would say I love that you went very specific to a memory that you have, because now you've got me rethinking my list. Because I have those. Last week was all about core memories. This whole show is about core memories, right? We said that, but this unlocks some of those things where it's like, man, I remember doing this at this place at this time. Like, do I do that? But I don't think I'm going to do that. But I do appreciate that. This is a fantastic pick. Man, I love that. So great stuff.
BJ, do you love the Ninja Turtles? Do you love the toy line? What's going on? You got a couple seconds.
Don't get this man started with the toy line. This man's obsessed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, they did a remaster of some of the older toys from when I grew up, and I have literally bought them all.
Nice.
So
you got the whole collection. You're that guy. Nice.
Yeah.
Now,
He's
look, I'm
definitely
not
that guy.
against toy collecting. I got a ton of toys still down in the basement, unwrapped. But I go to the collections and the collectors type places, and I kind of get overwhelmed. I'm like, I want them all. I want them all. But that's a great pick. That's a great pick. Now, BJ, it's your turn. You're up, and it is time for you to give us your criteria, and then I'll start your timer.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it was a pretty hard list to come up with. Like I say, so many different things that you can pick, and I mean, I had a lot of things when we were growing up. A lot of TV shows, a lot of cartoons, a lot of things to choose from. But one thing that I picked for my Rosie was Power Rangers.
Coming in hot.
Yeah, just because
Coming in hot.
So I remember I didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, so we had to shop at the dollar store a lot for things, and they had like the off-brand Power Rangers. I was just excited to get those. So it wasn't until years later that I was actually able to get the real thing, and then I had one. So as an adult, now that you have money, I'll go back and I'm like trying to buy all these figures and all these things that I remember, and that's one of my major things is Power Rangers. I love the show, loved everything about it. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
Now,
Core memories again. Hey, St. Tammany Collectors Con, we were there. How'd you feel about meeting Austin St. John there? Did you get a chance to chat with him?
I sure did. I got his autograph on one of my video games. The Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
Yeah.
Super great guy, man. Like, he was
absolutely
down to earth, like really nice dude. I was surprised. I mean, he talked to me for a little while, and he didn't have to, but he was a really nice dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we got a Rushmore of him, and my son walked up to him and was like, "Hey, that's awesome." And he's like, "You want it?" And he's like, yeah. And he goes, "Well, it's a little messed up right here, but it's probably still worth something. Here, you can have it." and gave this to him.
Oh, wow.
So then we asked him, he was asking like for all these things like, cost to get autograph and whatever. So I walked up and I was like, hey, would you mind filming a Rushmore with us and whatever? And he's like, sure. So he filmed his Rushmore of favorite bad guys that he's ever been in the show with. And that's one of the shorts on our episode. But hey, cool. I don't want to suck it all up. 1993, that is 15-year-old Kirk working at KB Toys, was there for opening day of the 1993 90s toy line when it came out. And I opened the box. I looked at him and said, this is what everybody's crazy for. I closed the box and I brought one home. I still have them all wrapped up. My top 5. I have all 5 of them. And dude, It's one of my most prized possessions. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Sean,
sounds amazing.
what do you think about Power Rangers?
Power Rangers is actually a pretty big one for me. They didn't quite make my top 4. My biggest memory for that is going to watch the movie at the theaters with Ivan Ooze.
Ivan Ooze, yes. I love that movie.
Yeah, Andy's a big Power Ranger guy. He's a big Power Ranger guy.
Yeah.
But I was not a Power Ranger guy. I mean, that was 15-year-old me. I was kind of trying to chase girls, do the thing, get out of all that. And that was one of those awkward moments for me those couple of years where I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. But I'm smart enough to know that these soccer moms are beating down the KB toy gate, that I need to grab these 5 and never open them.
Man, so that's whenever it was ferocious back then.
Oh yeah,
man. Well, look, the timer's up. Now it's my turn, and let me just reset it. That's 2 great picks. You guys nailed in toys. And look, I'm gonna just go here and give you my criteria. What are the things I did as a kid? Well, I kind of ranked them, toys being one of them. And I just like, these are the top 4 things that are probably in my childhood that I wanted to do. That remind me of my childhood. And then I picked my favorite ones, or ones that actually just sparked that memory the best. I kind of mentioned it before the show started. Andy mentioned the time capsule. So I was thinking, yeah, I've almost got every one of these right now somewhere in this house, or I have just had them not recently in my hand, right? Like a collector's con. I there was a couple of things that I was like, this, oh my gosh, this. And so I'm going to start and just my Rosie is also a toy line. And I'm going with the one that I tried to collect them all. It was my Pokemon, right? I had to have every single one of them. I mentioned it on the show. This is probably the 4th time I've mentioned this, but I'm going with none other than G.I. Joe. And listen, I went to the collector's con and I walked over and I picked up the hydrofoil, and I picked up the boat and all that stuff, and I'm just looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember all this stuff. But let me tell you, some of my favorite things to collect about those, obviously, was Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and stuff like that. But the Dreadnoks, which were the bad guys that were like the biker gang with Zartan and all that. But literally, my favorite ones is there was a certain set of different people that were in there in the show that came with animals. And I don't know why, like Mutt. I loved collecting the guy like Mutt who had the dog, or the croc guy who had the crocodile, the whatever that had the parrot. And I remember playing with the G.I. Joe animals tremendously in my living room, watching cartoons and whatever. It's just a huge memory for me, sliding them down the rope, just whatever, man. G.I. Joe, I had so many. And my mom, unfortunately, just trashed them, got rid of them, gave them away, did whatever. And I mean, I had all the cards. It's so sad. But G.I. Joe would be my toy line that blast me back to 1984, 85, 86. So, Andy, you knew I was bringing something like this.
I'm surprised that it's only a Rosie, to be honest with you, as much as you talk about this. But yeah, this is a solid pick. If you're going to put Rushmore of 80s things, there's a strong case to put G.I. Joe in there anyway, So And we know our good friend Jason supports this pick very
Yeah,
much.
he's got like almost all of them displayed in his cave. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is great. I love it.
Yeah.
You guys, G.I. Joe.
You guys, G.I. Joe, that's a little bit before your time, maybe.
That was a little bit before my time. My brother was a little bit more into them than me. He got 10 years on me, but I've watched some of the cartoons. Never really dove super deep into it, but super iconic for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, knowing's half the battle, man. Those dude, we've had intros of G.I. Joe. Oh man, I love it. BJ, you're a little older, right? Did you collect G.I. Joe at all?
Yeah, G.I. Joe was a big thing for me. Actually, I still have a lot of my old figures from when I was younger. They're destroyed because I played with them.
I remember the big thing, like you would twist them and the rubber band inside
that
would
rubber
pop,
band,
and then you have all the legs and the pieces and whatever, and then you had to try and fix them and whatever.
Well, see, my thing a lot of times when we go swimming, my G.I. Joes are coming with me. So we put them in the pool, and when it was a lot of fun.
To eat them up, yeah.
Destroyed them.
So, all right, man. So 3 toy lines right off the bat. That's a good steal. Andy, where are we going for your Rosie? Tell me about your criteria, dude.
Yeah, so
you've got weird stuff all the time in Nostalgia Month. So what's going on?
Well, I don't think we're going to get too weird this month or this week. So you already said it. I did mention the whole time capsule concept. Again, that wasn't the premise of this show, but it was a good way for me to think of, man, I have limited space in this time capsule. I got to put 4 things in here that are going to, years later, we open, okay, this was Andy in his childhood, right? Like that's what I thought. And then we have a secondary time capsule because I needed to fit 4 more in. That'll be my Benjamins later. But that's kind of what I went with. Now, some of the things I'm going to mention today are kind of broad, and some of them are like a specific thing, right? So we're going to kind of be all over the place in terms of that.
Yeah, I didn't mention that either, but I'm kind of in that same realm.
Yeah. So this is a metaphorical time capsule because some of these things take up way more space than you would have, but that is kind of my criteria in that. I was born in 89, so I have this unique 90s for the most part, other than like 90, 91, 92 or whatever. And then I have like the early 2000s too, that this all accounts for that. Now I will say this, most of my stuff, we're kind of half and half between the 90s and the 2000s. It all kind of bled over in between each other anyway. So that's where I'm at with it. So let me get started with my Rosie. My Rosie, I did have to collect them all because I'm going to go with the Pokemon card. The cards in themselves.
Yeah.
Now, I had binders full of these things, man. I would always constantly go to Books A Million, and I would go buy a new pack. And I was like, dude, you rip that sucker up. You'd be like, where's the holograph? Where's the holograph? Like, which one do I have that's rare? And it's like, bro, I don't need energy cards. I'm not playing this stupid game. I just want to collect them. Dude, I tell you what, like, I have friends who are all about it. They had the board game, like they had the sheet out to do it, to whatever. I'm like, dude, I don't even have time to understand this. Funny story real quick about Pokemon cards. When I was in like 4th grade, they were really getting big. And I remember going and telling my parents, I need Pokemon cards. It's kind of like the cool thing, like whatever, I want these. And my parents were like, you know how like you always see the memes, it's like, we have McDonald's at home, and then McDonald's at home, it's like, it looks horrible. We went to Walgreens and found this off like Pokemon thing. They were not the cards. It was like these circle things. And we bought them, and I brought them to school, and everyone was like, dude, what the heck is this? Immediately after that
Andy moment.
That shame and embarrassment, I was like, never again, Mom. We're getting the real stuff. But dude, I would go, you'd get the packs of cards, you get the starter pack that had a bunch of them. Dude, if you were a kid in this era and you pulled out a holographic Charizard, you were the king of the neighborhood. Like it was just fantastic. So I never played the game, but I collected the cards. I had the binder with the sleeves, just like people have for baseball cards and everything. But I would put these things in order of their number. I wanted to collect every one of them. And we're talking about the original ones. We're not talking about, what are they at, like 2000 now? I don't even know. So, but yeah, Pokemon cards, that is absolutely my Rosie of childhood.
So yeah, I'll jump in and just kind of briefly talk because I've talked about these before with you. This is after me. This is a little bit after my time, but my son is a huge Pokemon collector right now. I think he's probably up to about 500 or so now. When he for his travel baseball or his all-star team, if he led the team in batting average, I would buy him a big box. And he missed it by like 2 points. Like his best friend beat him by like 2 points, but he had like 3 extra at bats. And so I was like, if he would have got those extra bats, he had a shot. And I ended up getting it for him anyway because he had a fantastic year and whatever. But he loves Pokemon. It's one of those things that you guys collect Pokemon cards? Are y'all weird? Like you whatever. And now I kind of look back and regret I didn't pick up some packs. I just didn't do it, and I totally appreciate this pick.
We're almost out of time, but we'll give you time. You guys, any comments on the Pokemon cards? Oh, there it is. Blue, baby.
Yep. Yeah. Pokemon was in fact on my list. Just the memories of like Burger King. I don't know if you went to the Burger King.
Yes.
Yeah, they had like the Pokemon League and the ball with the gold card.
Togepi, man. I had a Togepi.
Nice.
Nice. BJ, you play Pokemon? You collect them? You did anything?
I play Pokemon today, actually.
There you go.
So yeah, that was around my era too. I collected all the cards. Man, I remember vividly going to Walmart, and like at the time, the cards weren't really protected like they are now, and they were just loose in a box. So I was like, I went there and opened up a pack, and I'm looking for Charizard, and I opened up another pack. I bought all the ones that I opened, but I wasn't leaving that spot till I found one. I went to the register, and I'm like, here, I'm buying these.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right. Well,
nice.
We finished round
All right,
one.
so that is round one. Fight. Yes, so now we're moving to our TJ Jazzy Jeff. Now we don't have to do criteria here. We'll just reset the clock. And Sean, you're up, man. So what is your TJ, which is number 2 on our mountain, TJ Thomas Jefferson. So he's 3rd place, second one we say. So you're up.
All right. So my Jazzy Jeff is going to be I have Linkin Park down, but it's that whole era of music. There was your Linkin Park, your Static X, your Mudvayne, your Korn, all of that. It was just such an amazing time for music. And just like everybody that was into like all like the video games, like we've already mentioned Pokemon and all of that, we all listened to the same kind of music. We would all just go sleep over, play video games, listen to Linkin Park, watch anime. It was a great time for music for sure. And I still listen to them today.
This is good. Sean, this is where, like, did we hang out together?
Yeah.
Because that you explained my Fridays and Saturdays just now.
Those are the best.
Listening to Mudvayne and Slipknot and Mushroom Head and
Static X,
Static X, the Linkin Parks, Stained, Korn, all of this stuff, right? Like this was where I was at. Limp Bizkit, even if you wanted to be a little bit down that side of things too. A little bit more.
Hey! Watch your mouth.
I know. Look, I'm not knocking them at all, but dude, absolutely.
Hey, some people do it just for the cookie.
Yeah. No. So look, hey, I love this. I love every one of those bands you mentioned. Some of them for a song or two, some of them for every album they've ever made. Music is a big one for me in thinking about your childhood. I didn't pick necessarily this kind of stuff because it's more of my older teenage years. And when I immediately thought of the topic, I was thinking a little younger, and that's okay. I did think of those two, and I was like, I'm going to go younger with my first few. But on my Benjamin side, I was kind of pulling out music from my childhood. So I love that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I listen to the same thing, honestly.
There you go.
Music's always been a big part of my life. I was in bands for years, and like I said, some of the same bands. that's all we did. You know, we go on the weekends, we hang out, and we listen to music.
Dude,
You know, that's all we did.
you guys are here kind of where are you guys at in Louisiana? Are you
South
in
Louisiana.
right?
South, yeah, way south.
Homa area, bro.
I'm
Home.
Slidell. So, but
You're
I
the
grew
other
up-
985.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There's the relation. We've connected it.
There we go. That's it. All right. Well, good deal, man. This pick was fantastic. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for
Great
going.
pick. Great pick. Great pick. All right, BJ, you're up, man. What's
All
your
right.
what's your TJ Jazzy Jeff?
All right. So for my TJ, I had to pick. Like again, it was hard to put an order on this, but I'd have to say Batman. But more specifically, the 1966 Batman.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, it's I grew up with the TV show. Just that gray and blue Batman is I still collect it to this day. I have like every figure in the McFarlane line that came out. I literally have every single one of them. I have converted half of this room. You can't see it right now, but it's got like Wayne Manor on top. It's got the Batcave on the bottom, and it's got the Villains Lair on the bottom of that on the shelf in here. So it's just something about that Batman that just stuck out to me. I love the TV show. When I was actually younger, my mom brought me to an event called World of Wheels, and I was a little kid. I was probably like 5, and I have a picture of her holding me on her lap, and we're sitting in the Batmobile from the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I got to meet like Adam West and Burt Ward, and it was just, so I guess that's where it started from for me.
That's awesome. I love Batman. Comics were a big part of childhood, man. There's a lot of big things with comics and superheroes. I mean, what kid didn't want to be a superhero? I mean, like it's awesome. And Batman has this really aura to him. So I do like the 60s television show when you're thinking about my childhood. Now that I'm older, it's hard to watch. Gosh, it's hard to watch. I mean, I remember as a kid watching it like on Sunday mornings and stuff, and like it's syndicated, and I just loved it. I've watched it several times since, and then sometimes I'm just like, it's just fodder in the background. But I don't hate it. I appreciate it. That's why I watch it. I was like, this is good stuff. So, Sean, you a Batman guy? You anti-Batman?
So yes, I have a hot take on this.
Uh-oh.
In my opinion, Batman is the worst superhero.
Oh, come on.
He just lets them all survive. He's the reason Gotham is the way they are. He just perpetrates the system, and it just lines his pocket because he sells all the stuff.
Oh my gosh.
He is a psychopath.
Guys, please don't leave yet. We've got another good.
I'm sorry. It's just one of those things. Batman is just one of those. People love him to death. I see people with Batman tattoos. They love him. I'm just like, that man is terrible. He's a psychopathic Iron Man.
Nice. Look, it's a hot take. We welcome all.
We love hot takes. We used to actually have a second segment in the beginning called It's Coming In Hot, and it was just hot takes. Just hot takes on the show. But that's a hot take though. That's a hot take because we've done a DC episode, we've done superhero episodes, we've done Marvel episodes, and even in the Marvel episode, Batman showed up somehow. So, but let's just keep moving. Yeah, BJ, it's a good pick. It's a good pick. I mean, it's all nostalgic for you. So, all right, so now it's going to be my turn. And so these last 2 or 3 were kind of I could have flipped a coin. I could have really flipped a coin for many of these. And they're really my childhood. And I'm just going to pick the one that's probably least important to me as far as actually grasping something in my hand. But the nostalgia, we talked about it last week. We talked about it last year. The nostalgia is the Saturday morning cartoon. Now, I didn't just say Saturday morning cartoons, because I couldn't figure out how to put that in a time capsule. I guess maybe a Blockbuster DVD or something. But I'm going with, hear me out, I'm going with licensed cereal. I remember as a kid, I remember as a kid in 1980, there was a lot of cartoons or video games. It's like Super Mario Brother, the Zelda Halfway, the Gremlins, Mr. T. There were so many of these licensed ones that we only had for a certain segment. And every time this stuff pops in my timeline, core memory, I zone into being sitting in front of my TV as close as possible. My parents yelling at me, eating a bowl of sugary sweet cereal and watching like Silverhawks or Max or Cops or whatever the heck was on my television, Smurfs or Jim. We've mentioned them all. I mean, over the cartoons, but cereal is it. I've loved cereal my whole life, but more nostalgic than just picking Lucky Charms, because every time I eat a box of Lucky Charms and Fruity Pebbles, this doesn't happen. But if that specific type of 80s cereal boxes, man, that every time I think of it, it's like transportation, 88 miles an hour back to 1985. What you think?
Great pick, man. Cereal, can't go wrong with it. You know, they even to this day have the licensed cereals and stuff. When I walk down the aisles, it's different than, you know, growing up as a kid, but it's this generation's nostalgia. It's going to be this generation's nostalgia. So love how that's continuing to go, but obviously can't go wrong with cereal. We did a cereal episode a year ago.
One of our best episodes ever.
Yeah, with some of our Journey students. It was crazy how it blew up, but yeah, it was super fun. So you guys cereal guys, you fans of that?
Definitely love me some cereal. And it kind of relates back to what he was saying about the Sunday morning cartoons. I remember waking up before my parents even woke up, give me a big bowl, pour some cereal, watch cartoons.
Dude,
I remember, that scoop of Cheerios when you would put the sugar in the milk.
Oh yeah,
you get that sugar crunchy milk bite.
Now I've mentioned this hot take before. Back as a kid, our cereal bowls were Country Crock butter tubs. And so there was a lot of cereal in that bowl.
That just means you were raised right. That's all it means.
Dude.
In fact, there was never butter in the Country Crock butter.
Never.
I wonder if they sell those bowls anywhere. I need those bowls in my life. So why haven't the nostalgia there, the bowl?
Why hasn't nobody made those? Like, why is that not a set?
I feel like that would make a tremendous amount of money.
Might be some copyright issues.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. All right, man. So that's my TJ. So Andy, you're up, man. You're up. Finish off the first half of the mountain on our nostalgic things that remind us of our childhood.
Yeah. So Sean, you picked specific genre of music. I'm going to go really broad when it comes to music, but not just necessarily music. Okay. Because there's some other things that can happen in this kind of realm. I'm going to go with very broad. I'm going to go with the CD. The CD, now there's a lot of things that are going to be encompassed in this, so follow with me. If I bought a CD from the store, there's something about like that when I don't get it with like Spotify and music now, where I used to love grabbing the actual CD, getting the artwork on the front, pulling the sleeve out, especially dude, if they had the lyrics that were listed in that sleeve, learning the lyrics that way, figuring out who were all of the artists who performed on all of these different songs, if they brought in people and stuff like that. So that was kind of a whole thing in itself. Going to a store and buying CDs was fantastic. But also with the CDs, the CD organizer that you would put on your visor of your car, like, we're so worried about being like, oh man, everybody's on their cell phones nowadays. Dude, I used to try to find the right CD with one hand, drive with the other. No eyes. I mean, eyes kind of every now and then and look back down on the road. But, you know, you'd find out what CD, or if you had the CD binder, you know. I think about this, burnt CDs and LimeWire and Kazaa and all of these things. Like, so I encompass all this into the broad idea of the CD. It's just it's so many of them. Dude, I even had a CD, I remember, and you guys know how much I love quotability of movies. I had a CD, and I think I've shared this before, that was just quotes from Billy Madison. That's the whole CD. It wasn't any music.
It's so uncanny how everybody had that though, and that's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. All so right. CDs would be my TJ Jazz, Jeff.
Bro, I mean, you've took 2 minutes on it to tell us because it's such an awesome thing. You took literally, I thought this was my ace in the hole. I'm gonna just say CD and steal so I can say music in general. It was my ace in the hole for a Benjamin. But look, bro, I still have mine, and I have 5 of these. I have 5 of these things, and this particular one here is all my gangster rap that I don't get to listen to anymore. If you can look really quickly. But yeah, dude, CDs, and I did the same thing on my lap. CDs here, dude, the one on the visor. Look,
yeah.
Then you had the machine that had like 5 in it, and you had to get 5 in it. Yeah, man, dude, CDs. But again, the reason I didn't pick this, and I was gonna hold it later, it's more of a teenage thing for me. So, you guys,
I counted in that.
Man, if you had a 5-disc changer. You had the money. I remember whenever those things first came out, I was like, that is so awesome.
Yeah, well, I will just say this. I never had the money because I wastefully put my money, little bit I had, towards things I didn't need. And that's kind of the stuff I had. Like, I put saved 3, 4, 5 paychecks just to get a 5-disc CD changer because I didn't want to do anything else. So, I mean, whatever it was. BJ, music's important. We talked about it. What do you think about a CD?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, I remember when I had my first little job, I was 13. And every bit of that money, we went to this place. It was in Houma called a Christian bookstore. And I'd buy like CDs, Dogwood and POD, all that kind of stuff, So that's where all my money went.
You just unlocked a core memory for me. Before it was FYE, before all that, it was Camelot Music in the North Shore Mall. And bro, I lived at Camelot every single Tuesday, every single Friday, because that's when DVDs and CDs came out. So yeah, dude. Great pick, Andy. Half of the mountain is done. Guys, if you've been here long enough, you know that it is time for a commercial break. And if you like commercials, go check out last week because it was all about commercials, our top 4 commercials. But let's see what we got here.
Now wait. Sorry, I gotta interrupt y'all real quick. No commercial this time. I'm doing my own commercial. Because you see, you got Nerdswap and Gamers Collecting Club here, but you ain't got the son of a water boy. You gotta have the son of a water boy here, ball. So here you go. Old Rene Boucher is gonna give you his top 4 nostalgic things from his childhood. Alright? So number 4, when I was a child, I used to love staying up late at night on the weekends, and I used to love watching Cartoon Network late at night because they had a little program called Toonami. And Toonami had some of the best cartoons back then, boy. They had the best animes, things that helped mold me into the boy I am today. You had your Outlaw Stars, you had your Dragon Balls, you had your Yu Yu Hakusho's. We just had an event based on Yu Yu Hakusho, boy. You figure that. And, it was always such a great program. Number 3, I gotta say, from my childhood was, video games. But for me back then, video games were different than they are now. Like me trying to play them now, they seem like so much harder. I think it's because everyone had so much more energy, so much more passion for games back then. But like my number 1 favorite games were always like the Metroid series, Castlevania. Nintendo had it going on back then. I don't care what Sega says. Nintendo had it going on back then. That's why they're such a big company now. Number 2, most nostalgia. Maybe having hair. But no, I would say it was the sodas. See, sodas was different back then. They make them differently now. I don't know if it's to be healthier or more cost efficient. Probably more cost efficient. But man, Dr. Pepper tasted different. We had drinks like Surge. Our Surge used to be so good with some Pizza Hut, boy. We had Vault. I used to love Vault. And just like the sodas they had then, they don't have a lot of great sodas now. It's all pretty, standard. I do like me that Sprite remix, but I'll tell you what. But the number one most nostalgic thing for me was, and it shouldn't be a surprise if you know me, it was wrestling. Wrestling was so different back in the 90s, back when you still had WCW, you had ECW, you had so many legends that at the time, everyone was so good at what they did. Everyone was so awesome at what they did. It's no wonder everyone on the roster back then were considered legends now. You had your Stone Cold Steve Austin, you had your Rock, Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, Kane, what's some of the smaller guys that became legends. You had your Scotty 2 Hotties, you had your RVDs. I shouldn't say small names, but besides the point, they're great people, they're great nostalgia. Mount Rushmore Show, thank you very much, and you are also welcome for having the Son of a Water Boy on here. Now, if you want to catch the Son of a Water Boy, go on Facebook.com/bar or Cheese Wheel Bar, I forget which one it is, and you can keep up with all my dates. Like next Saturday, I got a show in Plaquemine, Louisiana for Action Pack Wrestling, where your boy's not only gonna be in a battle royal for the heavyweight title, but I'm gonna be in what's called a Bourbon Street Brawl. I'm matching my own design, boy. Don't miss it. You wanna be there. See you then, ball.
Welcome back to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. Summit Squad, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for hanging out with us as we wrap up Nostalgia Month. It has been a blast. Look, we say it every time, right back at this moment. Subscribe. You've watched half of the video. Subscribe, like, comment, be a part of the community that we have down there in the comments, man. We love hanging out with everyone. We love connecting. We love chatting with you. So look, if you want to come on and be a guest, we've got some first-time guests today, but if you want to, shoot us a message. Let us know. We always love bringing in new people, adding members to the Summit Squad.
Yeah, and let me just jump in. Just this last week, we were honored to be welcomed into a group of podcasters and creators called the Culture Box. And I just want to share with you guys, go check these guys out. You've seen them all on our show before. Cellcast was on with us 2 weeks ago. Retro Rewind Podcast has been on with us. Geek Devotions, Playing Games with Strangers. There's such a great group of people that are in this system. And for the duration of our show, we're always going to highlight and spotlight one of our friends that are hanging out there. They're just Christian content creators. If you're liking us, you'll definitely like those guys. Go check them out, The Culture Box. All right. Well, let's jump into the second half of the mountain, and we're there, man. So it's Link, and Sean, you're up, man. Counter is ready.
So it was actually kind of cool how this ended up happening. Is whenever we first started talking about the episode, I actually found this in a box that my mom gave me, and I put it underneath my sofa. And I'm not gonna go into what this is about, but I'm gonna go with the early internet.
Yes. Wow. Dude,
this is a Dragon Ball Z information that I printed out. The date on it is November 1st, 1999.
Oh my God.
It is of Krillin. It's just a description of him with him in his suit, and that's all it was. I don't know why I printed this out.
Dude, that is so
I love this choice.
Dude, that's so awesome. How many ridiculous things did we print out?
Oh,
and
man.
Dude, and it took like an hour and a half to print that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Listen, oh my gosh. So I'm going to take this off of my Benjamins because it was there. Not specifically what you said, but it's close enough to where I'll just take it off. I almost put a recording of the early internet connection sound. Dude, getting onto the internet. Oh, dude, So, but printing things, dude, I think back to, dude, you remember it relatively like in the grand scope of like the world, it wasn't that long ago that we were printing out our directions to get to where we had to go. Yeah, MapQuest,
Oh,
man.
God,
Like we
yeah.
were printing that kind of stuff out.
And
if
talking
you miss-
about driving, looking at a phone, I mean,
Yep.
I'm finding a CD with one. I got MapQuest in the other. So it's just yeah.
Dude,
this is a great pick.
this is a great pick. This is a great pick. I mean, we're right in that area. So that's the cool thing about being early millennials and Xennials and Generation X. We got to see the internet happen, and one of the cool things about the internet was I remember the very first time, like kind of vividly, maybe fifth grade, of actually writing a book report that came from the internet. Right. And I remember them freaking out. You can't use the internet. That's cheating. You have to actually go to a book and things like that. You can't use the internet. Right. Now we can't use Wikipedia or whatever. But, it's just funny how the world evolves. Now we're using Chat GPT for everything. And it's just crazy. So early internet, but core memories unlocked when you showed that paper. Because there are so many and look, oh, you can't see it because of the angle of my camera, but right about here, I have a binder of video game stuff of like codes and
Nice.
and moves and whatever, and printing them out like just up, down, left, right, and all that kind of stuff. Game Genie codes, dude, all printed. It's just nuts. So
that's one of the awesome things. I buy and sell video games, and I love whenever I pick up a game and I open it up and there's just like a sheet of like loose leaf paper just stuffed in there. You pull it out and it's just the cheat codes for the game.
Look at this stuff. Look at these papers.
That's amazing.
All this stuff that's the PlayStation repair guide. I mean, like we printed that crap out. Like it's so funny. Fighting moves. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on. Fighting moves from Darkstalkers.
Wow. I remember printing stuff like that out.
Dude, so awesome. That's a great pick. That's a great
video game. I was a big wrestling video game fan, and I would go to websites that would show you like how to customize characters, like how to make Homer Simpson on here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like how to get,
I remember that.
Or like Mario Paint and figuring out the pictures and the pixels.
Oh, God.
BJ, you're up, man. You're up. Kick us off with your link. Timer is on.
Okay, so my link actually has a lot to do with me today. Like I had a relative that would collect tons of VHS tapes, and ultimately that kind of put the collecting bug in me. But one of the things more importantly that he used to record was wrestling. I would go back and I'd watch the old NWA stuff and WCW and all that. And so my pick would definitely be wrestling, old school wrestling. That was a big part of my childhood.
This is so awesome. And I know Austin reached out and he's like, man, I love the wrestling. And when Austin even was like talking about I didn't know that he did all that until he started friending us. I kind of following him. But here's the thing, the guy who was supposed to be on the show this week, he kind of moved over, Jason. The whole reason I started following him is because he did nostalgic stuff with wrestling. And he has like every single LJN wrestling figure ever and all these new ones that people are making. And so he's doing all these videos about wrestling stuff. And I'm just sharing this with you, BJ, because he does a spot on his show where it's called Wrestling with the Past. And he goes back and he has watched NWA and WWF from like the 70s up into the 80s, and he watches every single week and reviews it.
That's so awesome.
Dude, you should go and check him out. 80s Revolution, one of our favorite people. Dude, this is a great pick. You stole another Benjamin of mine, VHS tapes, because it's definitely my childhood. Definitely my childhood.
It was definitely my childhood. I remember doing a social studies project while watching WCW Nitro. And me and my friend actually didn't even do the project. My mom did it while we watched wrestling.
Nice. Way to go, Mom. Way to go, Mom. Again, this is one of those teenage things for me. I watched wrestling as a kid, but it was a little different. Wrestling as a kid for me was more the Killer Bees and the Von Erichs. The Monday Night War was something that happened in my high school time. And again, it's okay to pick your high school time. It's just when I originally thought this through, I'm thinking about 7 or 8-year-old me, definitely teenage me. I mean, we've talked about it like crazy last month.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you guys are fans of wrestling, if you're watching this now and you're a big wrestling fan, go back to last month, July. We have what did we do 5 episodes in July of all about wrestling? So
Yeah,
we did,
and we actually have 6 on all our playlists, and
Yeah.
we will bring them back in sports next year. We'll bring back wrestling some more again. So
we love wrestling here. We got a good friend, El Jefe. Shout out to you. Is a is a wrestler.
That's hilarious. El Jefe showed up on the commercial. Hey, so look, I'm going to jump in. These two are the two most nostalgic things for me. Obviously, it's my Link and it's my George. It's my Link and it's my George. And honestly, Sean, I'm probably going to steal one from you. But I'm coming in, and it's not stealing here because I know you're not going to do it to Benjamin. You'll probably do it in this part, which is fine. But I am going.
I know what you're going to do.
I am going back to 9-year-old me, maybe about 9-year-old me, and my best friend who's now passed away, Chris Miller. He actually was shot over her girlfriend. It was just crazy. He used to come down the street and we would play at nauseum. Final Fantasy, the original. Hold on. Look, check it out. It's when I the original one. There's my name still written in 8 years.
That's awesome.
Oh, right there.
That's so cool.
Hold on. Original cartridge. This made my love for video games increased. It not only look, I colored in the little triangle and everything. Not only did it do that, but not just Final Fantasy, Nintendo in general. My other favorite sports games right behind me. It's been back here the whole time. Baseball Stars. Here's the thing: Nintendo, NES, all the games, 8-bit gaming. That's me as a kid. My collection's over here, what I have left before my mom threw it away. But I'm a role-playing guy. I love all role-playing games. I got tons of Final Fantasies. I don't have nearly as many as you, Sean, but I love the series. And I can't tell you how many times I've played through this first one with every single possible combination. All fighters, all black belts, all mages.
Did you do all clerics?
Yes.
All white mages.
Oh, I mean, I can pretty much think I've done them all in my childhood. But anyways, 8-bit gaming, NES, Final Fantasy, man. Final Fantasy.
This is a great pick. I mean, I'm not surprised you went Final Fantasy is your highlight here, but 8-bit gaming in general, we're fans of. Listen, we just said we did a month of wrestling. We've done a tremendous amount of video game material here too. Big fans of that. So this is a great pick. Classics, man. I think back to like playing at my uncle's house. Again, I've shared this before. I've got an uncle who's about 6-7 years older than me, so he's kind of like a cool cousin, whatever. But having the duck hunt game and everything with the gun and stuff was super fun back then. Playing the original, Donkey Kong with Mario and throwing the barrels and having to go up, like all of that stuff. Great stuff. Absolutely. Paperboy was a big fun game for me. I know some people are kind of hit or miss with Paperboy, but yeah, this is a great one. Great pick. Obviously, I tell him about your background and you guys are big video game guys, but you guys agree with this pick, I'm assuming.
I think if I were to disagree with this pick, I'd have to burn everything that I have. I have like Kirk had said, I have entirely too many Final Fantasies. I have all of them, in fact, all of the United States releases, all the different versions.
The banner behind you too, yeah.
Yeah, I got the 7 remake banner right here. I have another Final Fantasy thing there. It's ridiculous.
BJ, are you a 8-bit guy, a Final Fantasy guy? I know you play games.
Yeah. No. This is where me and Sean don't agree a whole lot. I'm not big on Final Fantasy. I played it. I like 7. 7's my favorite. But in the series, I'm just not really big on the series,
Man.
But
I'm not a big RPG. I'm not a big RPG guy. So
no, not a big arch me either.
Yeah, but I know it's a hot take.
All right, Andy. Andy, your Link. Maybe it's Zelda. Link.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, well, it's this is the one pick that I have that I actually have a prop show and tell for that I'm going to show you guys. And I'm just going to up you a little bit and I'm going to go to the N64.
And what?
And I did it on purpose because look, there it is, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Link. We did it. It happened. Man, the N64 as a kid, having a friend across the street who like had games that I didn't have, and I had games he didn't have, and just being able to kind of like get together. And you know why that's important? 4 controllers, man. This was where it was at when you can get together with multiple people, multiplayer on GoldenEye, Mario Kart. You name the game, like just being able to get together, Mario Party, all of these fun ones, and getting to play this stuff, man. We mentioned it at the front of the show. I mentioned it multiple times. This is not a surprise. I'm a big N64 guy, but I've been collecting this recently, not to collect it, like to get it in a case and never play it. I just get them so I can relive my childhood memories, basically, is all it is. So I'm all about the N64, man. It is so much fun. My kids have gotten into it. It's been a lot of fun. So, and it's kind of become one of those little, it's fun to hunt for these games, man, and just relive these memories. So
what I love about unlike the 8-bit world, when we went to 64 polygons and all that, there is a huge love-hate relationship with this. And so if this is your pick, there's a certain set of people that have a hot take really big that they hate this system. But if you love this system, you love it. Me, I've already talked about it. I'm not a huge fan of the controller. I don't necessarily hate the graphics. I just didn't own this system. Like, this is one of the ones that I kind of leapfrogged. And at this time, I was playing PlayStation 1, early at PlayStation 2, a lot of Final Fantasy 7 and things like that. My buddy had this, so we'd go over to play Smash. So that's the only reason I would never pick a 64. But we have a 64 Rushmore show back in the day. Go check that one out.
My picks have probably changed since then because now owning these games again, it's definitely changed. But yeah, this is all of my childhood. This is what system came out, like 96, 97-ish or so, right there towards the end of the late 90s, right about that same time as the PS1. Dude, I had the PS1, I had the PS2, I had the GameCube, I had multiple systems. I had the NES, I had the Sega Genesis, I had so many different ones. But this, for whatever reason, is the one that just I attach to my childhood. And it's such a joy to kind of relive that stuff, especially with my kids.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Kurt, where I didn't actually have a 64. I went to the friend's house who had the 64, and we just played King Griffey Jr. Slugfest all the time, and he just beat me every single time. But I do enjoy some of the games. Like I do have a 64, and I'll play it every now and again. And at our events, the Nerdswaps, we actually have a 64 with an EverDrive that has all the games on it, and people can play whatever they want.
Yeah. Yes. So, Andy, where we'll be standing when it's time to come over.
You were going to do all of the work that week, that day. I will just go look for 64 stuff. So,
Jay, what you got on 64?
So I'm actually in the middle of trying to collect every game for the 64. So I'm getting close to about 200 at the moment. So
you're at 200?
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm at 17.
Last weeks ago in our wrestling show, we had actually Pac-Man Case, who's a video game collector, and he's doing a Nintendo 64 quest as well. Love for Pac-Man, and go check him out with his show and follow him if you're a Nintendo 64 guy. But man, we're at the George, they're number one. This is the most important, most nostalgic thing to you. So Sean, you're up, and let's see where we go.
So my George, my number one, man, you. So I'm going to have to pivot a little bit here. So, yes, it is Final Fantasy, but we're going to go to the PS1 era. It's definitely Final Fantasy, and if you want to get more specific, the PlayStation era, 7, 8, and 9, all great games. The replayability is just chef's kiss.
Yeah, I mentioned before, not an RPG guy. But the closest that I got to an RPG was like the Pokemon Blue, Pokemon, those Game Boy Pokemon games where it's like attack or run away. Like that was what I had. I just always found, and I know I'm speaking from ignorance because I just didn't like it, so I never really got into it. So I totally understand that. I understand that there's a love and a huge fan base of the RPGs. People love this stuff. I just never liked, especially like the turn-based stuff where it was like, this just doesn't seem real. Like we don't stand four in a line and say one person attacks and then one person, it just didn't work for me. But
they used to.
Yeah, well, there you go.
This version it did.
There you go.
But yeah, there you go. There's mine. Crack case and all. Greatest version. Yeah, I have Sean, I have number 1. I don't have the break of the Japan series. I have the 2 Super Nintendo. I have the anthology. I have this one, 7, 8, 9, 10, or X2, XX2.
We don't talk about that one.
I love that one, by the way.
I loved X.
I loved X.
Oh, no, X is great. X2 is a...
I named my dog after Pain, matter of fact. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love them all. And then I kind of stopped right there. And I think I have 14, which you're playing right now, right?
Yep.
I have that one, which was redone on Switch, and I just beat it not long ago. Or 13, I guess. Whatever one Anyways, long story short, I've got a ton of these things too, and it is my favorite. Aside from Link, like Andy mentioned, Zelda and Final Fantasy is my video gaming. I mean, I will buy all of them, and I'll continue to buy them all. And it's just so funny that Final Fantasy was a dying company, right? It
really was going to be a Final Fantasy.
And was like, let's do one last thing and see what happened. And then now they're, Squaresoft is one of the biggest things ever. So it's a great pick. I knew you were going to pick that. I just didn't know how you were going to pick it. And yeah, there you go. Well, BJ, you're up, man.
So, okay. So for my George, initially, I was going to go Mega Man because I have a huge Mega Man shrine, and I really love Mega Man. I love it, all the games, especially the older games. Then I thought video games, and then it really hit me like, what I really remember most about my childhood is video game stores. Going there, renting a game, having to bring it back the next day or keep it for a few days, and our video game store was right down the end of our street, so I'd ride my bike there, go try out a new game, so that would definitely have to be my pick. It'd be the actual video game stores, like little mom and pop stores. Loved them. Even Blockbuster, loved them too. But man, I miss the old mom and pop video game stores.
Dude, that is great. I'm taking it off my Benjamins, but that's to be expected. I have like 50 Benjamins, so I knew they were going to come off. Blockbuster. We had a Hollywood Video near us. We had a mom and pop place down the corner. I can't remember the name of it, like action movie. I don't know, it was something like that, but it was the same thing. And I spent a lot of my childhood there. Yeah. So I didn't own a lot. I said the N64 before. I didn't own a lot of N64 games. I just was renting them consistently for weeks on end. And I remember renting. Like we had one system, and I have a younger brother, and renting. And then my mom was like, "Okay, you get 20 minutes on your game," and I'd get like Ocarina of Time. I'm like, "Mom, there's way more than 20 minutes I need to spend on this. I can hardly do anything in 20 minutes." But she didn't care, and then your brother gets 20 minutes. But yeah, dude, this was fun. I always associate, like, I would get candy and stuff at like Blockbusters too. So like Butterfinger BBs, I always think of when I think of there, like just that kind of stuff too. So I love this pick. It's a shame that we don't have places like that anymore, but it's all streaming everything now anyway. So, but great pick.
It's an excellent pick. I had this on my mountain. I even kind of thought about Blockbuster, thought about video game stores. I was thinking about all the different places that I went. I actually used to work at Blockbuster, worked at GameStop for a little bit. And just the idea of where you purchased media back in the day. One of my favorite places was in our mall. And I've thought about this kind of ad nauseum. That's one of my favorite things. It's like, it makes me sick to my stomach even thinking about it. But there was a store of like, it's kind of like a swap shop, if you will, kind of like you guys doing, but all it had was cartridges like this, and they were lined up in this big wooden box, and you just like the whole store, and they were all like in $3, all of them. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, I could have probably bought the whole store for about $1,000, and I could have probably sold them now today and retired. I mean, there were so many in there. Just, video game store. Yeah, gosh, what a great pick. What a great pick. All right, guys, now it's my turn. It is time for my George. Now, this one, Andy, you probably can guess this one. If you really think about me being a child and all the things that I've talked about my whole life, we talk about collections, we talk about what we do, where we're at. I immediately think of myself like you back in the day, chasing the Pokemon cards, trying to collect them all. I went back to 8-year-old me. My mom used to work at Revco and Eckerd's and K&B, and she would put the greeting cards in. And if I would go and help her, she would buy me a toy. And usually the toy was like a He-Man figure or something like that. And until one day, she purchased me a pack of Fleer baseball cards from 1986. So that pack of Fleer baseball cards, and it blew my whole love of collecting just crazily. And I thought about going to get some cards and bringing them up. I probably have a collection anywhere between, I don't know the number exactly, but maybe about 30,000 to 40,000 cards right about now, in that ballpark. I have several high rookie cards, the Barry Bonds, the King Griffey's, the A-Rods, the Derek Jeters, any of the guys that happened in the 80s, early 90s. I pretty much have all the rookie cards. I don't know how good a condition they're in. They're just sitting all in the box, nice and straight and all neat and all filed. Not all of them are in packs and sleeves, but number one thing by far is baseball card collecting. And I immediately go back to the 1984 Fleer pack. So that's going to be my George.
Dude, I remember helping you move out of your house in Slidell and you going in the attic, and it's like, here's another box of baseball card. Oh, and another box of baseball card. And like that went on all day. Like I'm like, golly, this is insane. But yeah, I knew this was had to be on there. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. So this is a great pick. I had some baseball cards. Again, mostly Pokemon. I did have the X-Men cards. Cards was kind of a big thing too. It was a lot of stuff. So
yeah, and BJ, you mentioned you had some Pokemon cards. Did you collect anything else?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was there for the beginning of Magic cards. I collected that when I was younger. But mostly, I didn't do too much of the baseball cards, but I was basketball. It's like those skybox cards.
Pale got wrestling, got Marvel, got I mean I got cards, dude. I got cards. Don't have Eric. I don't have I have no Magic cards at all. I have a few Pokemon because it's what my son has given me recently. But I don't have any like other like the game type cards, if you will, like anything that you play,
Yu-Gi-Oh or
what all those things. Dice. I'm not against them. It just wasn't my scene. But if it was a pack of cards, I was purchasing it. it. Andy, you are up.
Yes. Much like you, this is not a surprise. I feel like you can peg exactly where I'm going here because I've talked about it ad nauseum when we talk about nostalgia, and I know you can't necessarily put this inside of a time capsule, but we would find a way to do it. Maybe we can fit it inside of a giant orange blimp because I'm going with Nickelodeon. Just Nickelodeon in general. Nickelodeon is my George. Everything about it. We've talked about the cartoons, and we talk about Doug. We talk about Hey Arnold. We talk about Rugrats. We talk about Rocket Power. We can mention them forever. We talk about the live ones. Clarissa Explains It All that. Keenan and Kel, the Amanda Bynes Show. Then we get a little bit further. We got your Jimmy Neutrons, and we got your Fairly Odd Parents, and we got your Invader Zims. You got your kind of B-list ones. You got your Cat Dogs. You got your Angry Beavers. All of these are fantastic shows. It is where I lived my life. Man, you talk about Nick at Night, showing like the old I Love Lucy and everything back in the day, and being able to watch that stuff at night. I loved this show. The game shows, Double Dare, Figure It Out. You can't say that on TV. Salute Your Shorts. Hey, dude. I could go forever. And I feel like I work for this company that put together this documentary of the Orange Years. But if you haven't watched it, please go watch the Orange Years. It made me cry. I'm not even kidding. It made me tear up. All of the merch that comes with it, dude. I had so many orange VHS tapes of Real Monsters and everything else that happened, dude. The Wild Thornberries. I can go on forever. I loved Nickelodeon.
Couple things. Number one of my favorite shows as a kid. I wasn't a Sesame Street guy. I was a Nickelodeon guy, and I watched Pinwheel. And pinwheel spinning around. Look at my pinwheel and see what I found. And I remember when you talked about the Orange Years, you're like, man, that's some freaky stuff. And it was kind of weird looking back, but I love that. That was my Sesame Street. Second thing, the mannequin one where they put the hat on the mannequin and he came to life and whatever. I loved Nickelodeon. It was on nonstop. It was my kids. It's my YouTube when I was a kid. But I kind of stopped at those years that you're talking about, the SpongeBobs, the Thornberries. I kind of stopped there. And that's why we kind of miss the Dougs. And those are all great shows. I loved equally that documentary. It was fantastic. And by the way, I was on Nickelodeon. Just saying. Have I ever shared that?
No.
I was on Nickelodeon. So wow. I was on Nickelodeon I can't remember the show. I actually looked it up not long ago. But it was a game show because I went to Nickelodeon Studios for Universal Studios, and you get welcomed on into the panel. And the game that we did was a toilet paper roll, and we had to start it at the top, and we had to roll it all the way down first, and we lost. I don't even know if it made the air, but yeah.
I have very fond memories of Nickelodeon. I remember some of the first memories I have. I don't know if y'all remember that show. You Can't Do That on Television.
Yeah,
but
slime started.
Man, it was so awesome. That's where the whole slime thing started. Was that show?
Well, Rushmore Show, you obviously probably have noticed that you haven't seen one of our guests in a little bit, and I just wanted to share with you that Sean is got a young child, and he had some emergencies to go tend to with his little one, and we just totally appreciate you being here, Sean. Thanks for being here. DJ, thanks for hanging with us. We've got one more thing left. It is the All About the Benjamins is what we call it, where we're going to mention our top 4 things that miss the mountain. You guys been around long enough to know how we do this thing. And let's get it started, man. All About the Benjis. Let's go. All right, guys. As you know, All About the Benjamins is all about our honorable mentions. It's about how we can get a couple more things on the mountain that remind us of our childhood. Since Sean has had to step out, BJ, you're going to be our number 1 pick of the day, which means you also get last pick of the day. So it's going to be you, and we're going to snake draft it around. Basically, tell us one that just missed the mountain, and real quick, why, maybe, just a quick snippet, and we'll move this thing along. What is your first thing you think should have made the mountain?
One of my first picks, it has to be Thundercats. It was a very big part of my childhood, but it wasn't something that I got to watch a whole lot of when I was younger. I more fell in love with it later on, as I was able to get out the DVDs and stuff, and I was able to watch all the episodes, because it was one of the things where it's like hit or miss. I seen parts of it, but I never got to watch season to season of it, so that would definitely be one of mine.
All right.
Nice. That's a good pick. So you're going with the cartoon of Thundercats?
Yeah, the cartoon.
Sweet. Cartoons are a big thing here. So it's going to be my turn. Now, this one could have easily made my mountain, fellas. There's one reason it didn't. This thing got stolen from me. I am going with my prized Mickey Mantle baseball. I got an autograph from Mickey Mantle at a card show while I was probably about 10 years old, and unfortunately somebody stole it. But it was one of my most prized possessions, man. So, Andy, you're up.
All right. So I'm going to go with one that you thought was going to be my George, and this was a big part of my. But again, I think to some of your thing, this was a little bit more like 13, 14 and up. So it's kind of into those teenage years. That's why I didn't put it on here. And I'm going to go with drums, man. I've been a drummer since I was 13. So we're saying 21 years of playing drums. So it's obviously a huge part.
So the reason I thought you might have picked that, because you said it wasn't going to fit. And then I was like, he must be talking about something big. You went blimp. I was thinking drums.
And then my next pick, I'm going to cheat a little bit now that I get 2 in a row. I'm going to cheat a little bit, and this might tick some people off, because some people who are on the panel right now, because it's huge and it's going to take a large industry away. And sorry if I'm being way too broad on this, but there is something about the 90s and fast food and what it looked like on the inside. So here's a few things. The yellow cups at Wendy's, man. Taco Bell's interior. The BK Kids at Burger King with Kid Vid and all of them. I'm talking the sugar cookies at McDonald's. Just everything. The McDonald's inside of the Walmart that had Ronald McDonald on the bench. I mean, we all know. We were there. We know it. It's something like today, fast food looks like way too sleek and modern. There was just something whimsical and playful about fast food in the 90s. That's going to be my next Benjamin.
Good pick. Almost taking away one from me, but I'm going to go a little different route because you didn't mention it. But I'm going with none other than the Happy Meal toy. The Happy Meal toy. Okay. I'm going with just the toys, dude. Just the toys, man. Dude, those are big deals when I was a kid. Total big deal.
Yeah. All right. Back to you, BJ. You get 2 picks in a row now.
All right. So for my next one, I actually picked the toys of Dino Riders back in the day.
Dude, these things are so dope.
Yeah.
They're so dope.
Yeah. Man, I played with them things, but the reason I didn't put it in is because I no longer own any of them, and they kind of were very poorly designed. They were awesome, but they broke very easily.
Yeah.
You know?
Well. All right. Nice. And now you get another pick to start round.
You get another pick to start our third round.
So my next one is gonna be. I know, when a lot of kids, they had Pokemon and it was like they had to catch them all. But before then, a lot of people don't remember, it was Monster in My Pocket. That was the big thing, and I felt like I had to collect all of those. But man, again,
Nice.
it was just something that didn't hold up well.
Yeah, Monster in My Pocket didn't last too long. It didn't blow up like Pokemon for sure.
Right.
I thought you were gonna go with a Tamagotchi. That's where I thought you were headed.
Ooh.
But
I remember those.
I didn't have one of those. So if I ruined one of you, I'm sorry. But yeah, my turn. And I've got like 5 or 6 here that a legitimate could throw here. And I'm saving the last one for sure because you definitely aren't picking that one. I'm gonna go with. We talked a lot about music. I am picking specifically the Walkman. So I'm picking the go tape deck playing. It reminds me of cutting the grass for my learning. And man, the song that's in my Walkman right here is Spin Doctors for sure. It's for sure. Yeah.
Princess.
Little Miss can't be wrong. Yeah.
Two hit wonders. I love that.
2-hit wonder. Yeah.
Okay, so my next pick, dude, there's 1,000 that I want to pick. I'm looking at my list, scrolling through it. I'm going to have to do this because it's going to be broad and it's going to really kind of cover 2 of my Benjamins here. Cheating again. I did that with fast food, but I'm going to go to the whole scene of kind of like pop punk, maybe goth kind of kid, like that whole deal. Now, here's what it entails for me. It entails the store Hot Topic was a big deal back then. I was a big hit parader magazine. I would tear out the pictures. Funny story, we would go to the store, and I've repented of this since. We would go to Books A Million and go to the back of the store, and that's what the magazines were. And while the cops weren't there or the workers weren't there, we would rip Slipknot pictures or whatever out of there, and I'd stuff it in my big Hot Topic pants because you had pockets big enough to hold that.
Yeah.
And then you would take that home and you would tape it up on your wall, and my wall was covered with that kind of stuff. Again, I've gotten right with the Lord. We're good now. So that whole scene kind of does that for me.
Just to steal a sliver of time in the Benjamins, you're talking about stealing one sheet of paper out of a magazine. I talked about stealing $1,400 when I was 12. So I think you're okay. You're okay.
I probably had $1,400 worth of posters on my wall. So I'm not even kidding you. Anyway, and then my final one, man, again, I've eliminated so many, but I just don't know which one to pick here. And I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with, let's do that. I'm going to go with the one that I mentioned back in Christmas when we talked about gifts. I'm going with the Razor Scooter. The Razor Scooter. Does it get more 2000s than that?
Good pick. So dude, great pick. Cannon's got 3 of them downstairs. And we zip around on them all the time. But here's the thing. I got a couple left, and most of the ones I have left are just like you. They are gifts that I claimed back in Christmas time last year, and I'm just not going to pick them. I'm not going to pick them because I'm going to give you something that's much more dear to me. It probably could have been number 1, but I'm going with something that Carson carries around to every single tournament, my dad's baseball glove. Carson brings it everywhere. I restored it, and you talk about childhood and throwing the ball, man, what I would do to get to throw one more time.
Good pick, man. Love it. All right, DJ, you have the final pick. In Nostalgia Draft.
Okay. So this might seem a little weird, but my final pick, and it almost made the list because it was a lot of my childhood, especially in school. It was the only thing to do for recess. It's marbles, man. We played marbles all the time. That's all we did. Like, couldn't wait to get to recess so we could play marbles, and that's something that kids today don't know about.
Man, I'm gonna just throw this out there. I never actually played marbles, but I collected marbles. I can remember this whole scene of I had a bunch of marbles and I'd bring them to school, and you'd have the hammer one, all that, but I never played. I always just traded them with people, and because I collected them and I didn't want to play the game because you're gonna mess up my marbles. Stop! I don't want. Yeah, so I always just collect them. But dude, that's a cool pick. Cool pick.
There we go, man. We have finished our mountain. We have finished our Benjamins. We have taken the nostalgia trip. We have finished Nostalgia Month. Back to school bash at the Rushmore Show.
Back to school. Hey, look, guys, welcome to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about nostalgia and a whole lot more. I mean, that's what I've been thinking about this whole month. I mean, it's always about nostalgia. What a great blast of the past. BJ, thank you for being on. Sean, I'm sure this replay, hopefully you enjoyed it, and thank you for being on. Austin, maybe we'll catch you next time during wrestling. Thank you for wanting to be on. Nerdswap. Hey, guys, go. Where can they find you, BJ? Where can they find you on Twitch, on YouTube, wherever it needs to be?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page for Nerdswap, and Gamers Collecting Club is our main page. But also, we have all of our information at www.gamerscollectingclub.com.
Nice.
Awesome, man.
That's perfect, man. And look, guys, it is right around the corner. September 9th, Morgan City, Louisiana RetroCon. These guys are going to be there. You heard it straight from their mouth. They're going to have an N64 ready to play. Look, be there at the con. Davey Lusko, and I just saw where Robbie from Comics is going to be there. John McCarthy's going to be there. I'm sure we're going to have a couple other guys coming up soon. Thrift Poppy, all those guys are probably all going to be hanging out there. They're all going to be on our show. We've got them all planned for the upcoming weeks. So be there at the Louisiana Retro Con. And shortly after that, it is the St. Tammany Collectors Con all over again. Come visit us. We want to do some Rushmores with you. And hey, who knows? You might make it to the show. We'd love to have you on.
Hey, man, thank you. And I'm coming for the N64 stuff. It is going to be a fun time. So, dude, it's been a blast. Nostalgia Month has been a blast. It's always
to get me something to collect, to just show up to these things and actually go start again. Andy, tell everybody bye.
Well, let's say it like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4
and nothing more.
Peace.